Hey guys, what's going on? Matt Allen, Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. We're out here on Clear Lake. Absolutely gorgeous day today. Dead flat calm. We're between storms. We've got another front rolling in. Lake has risen about 3.5 feet in the last week. Here we've got, we'll say 5 to 8 inches of visibility. Up lake, zero viz at all. We basically have two approaches. One is that, extreme finesse like we've talked about. The other is that jerkbait. We've been talking about, we showed you the underwater footage. We talked about winter jerkbait fishing. So today we just wanted to come out on the water between storms and just catch some fish. We're not trying to catch a giant. We're just trying to not drag a worm. So we're gonna fish that jerkbait, fish it slow, just like we talked about. See if we can't activate some of these winter fish that have ridden that rising water, gotten up into that, 5 to 12 foot range where we can pull them up to a slow moving jerkbait. We'll check in with you later on. We've ran, 200 yards of bank so far. We've had 4 short strikes, one that hooked up and popped off. No fish in the boat yet. They're eating it really funny. They're just kind of coming up, almost just touching on it and then bailing out really, really quick. Definitely not sucking the bait in or hitting it hard. But what we're trying to do is get into a school. I think if we could fire up a school, we'll get fish that are aggressive. We'll hit the bait hard, trying to get it away from each other. And then we'll be able to hook them up and really get some fish in the boat. So we'll keep moving and check back in. We mentioned before, these fish are barely slapping the bait. That little guy didn't even have it in the mouth, but we got him in the boat. I upgraded to those Aaron Martin's nano trebles that we talk about and just skin hooked that fish. Another little guy. We're not changing the world, but having fun on a cold day.
Not giant, but still a lot of fun. Cold.
Super freezing cold, right?
Cold.
Say we got a school going. There are some in here up to like 2, 2 and 4. Nice.
Ate it head first.
Yeah, decent fish. Come on. That'll do. You know, one of the keys, now we were talking about looking for a school, and we talk about that a lot. And you can see now that they're revved up, we've been bit. That's like 6 casts in a row between us, we're getting bit. But you still, even when those fish are revved up, you want to make sure that you're still going slow. Long pauses, giving those fish time to catch up and eat that bait. I hate ripping out of the water. How long is that? What? That's the only thing I'm doing is flip out. So the 6'6" would be good. Sir. Oh, jeez, he hit that hard. Oh.
This guy is going. Had to switch it up and go back to the bait caster. You know, you can throw these little rip baits on spinning gear, finesse gear, or bait casters, but depending on if your wrist hurts, your shoulder hurts.
Dude, he hit it so hard. He freaking crushed it. This slackline freight train. It's not even a big fish, but he hit it so hard. We should add, guys, we're doing this on light gear. Tim was using the spinning rod, he switched to a bait caster. I'm running a bait caster, but running 10-pound braid to an 8-pound fluoro leader. That's all we're running. Really, really light line. Because that bait's just sitting there idle in front of them for so long. If you've got heavy, heavy line on there, you know, they've really got time to sit and stare at it. So that 8 pounds seems to be about perfect. If we were fishing in a fishery where we didn't have a shot at a big one, even though we're catching little ones, at any time on Clear Lake, you can set up on a 6, an 8, a 12. So 8-pound is that, at least for myself, that spot where I feel like I would still stand a chance. If I go lighter than that, I feel like a giant's gonna get the better of me. But if you're on a fishery that only has small fish, 6-pound even, will help you get more bites.
All right, so this fish ate this bait completely on slack line. And I know when Matt and we had that recent jerkbait video, we talked about having slack line. And I think it's very important because you don't want to have tension on that bait. If you have a tight line, you're going to be moving that bait. You want that bait to sit there motionless. So you actually, I pick a spot on my line. You know, I got a big bow on my line and I just watch that. I don't move my rod and I just stare at that. And you'll see that line flick, or sometimes they'll just rip off, or they'll actually come towards you, and all of a sudden you'll have line bow up and land on the water. So pay attention. You might not even feel the bite. This fish didn't even feel it, but I saw my line take off, and that's when I knew to set. So pay attention, just like a weightless worm or a Senko fish. Pay attention to your line.
Clubbing it. Turned on the heat there at the end. No, just an angry one. Not a rat by any means. All right, guys, our other camera died, so I'm just picking this one up just to give you a little bit of a recap of what's going on. Just to make sure you understand what we're really doing here, our water temp is 43, 44 degrees. It's cold. Not as cold as it can get. We'll get down into, mid 30s some winters, but still 40 degrees is cold water. Nice. As you can see, these fish are aggressive. What's happened is this water is rising with the storms that are coming in. And when you get, oh, lost him. Let me see your bait while you're out. When you get rising water like that, these fish will move up. Because the water is so cold, they actually feed more effectively as a group than they do individually. So they tend to move into the shallower water, and they're up in 8 to 10 foot, but they move up in a school because if they're all up there together, they can work together to corral bait, and it's not so hard for any one individual fish to feed, which really is a vulnerability for them, because we know that we can take a ripbait, take fish that are otherwise pretty lethargic, get that school fired up like we're seeing. All these fish have come off of one little patch. We ran around a little bit getting some short strikes, but once we got on a school, I mean, we're making the same casts over and over and over. We're using 2 baits. Tim is throwing a small Lucky Craft Pointer Deep Diver. It's a Pointer 78. And then I'm throwing, you can go back to fishing if you want. I'm throwing the Stacy 90. Both deep diving baits. Both are gonna get down there in that like 5 to 7 range, which is low enough to call those fish up when we're fishing slow. They have time to come up and look at it. We talked about that in that previous video. And then color-wise, we keep changing up color. We caught them on Ghost Minnow. What's that one called, Tim? This is American Shad.
I think this is Phantom Chartreuse Shad.
That's right, Phantom Chartreuse Shad. Then we also got them on Table Rock Shad. Just mixing it up and giving them those 2 profiles to try and keep that school going, so we're not showing them the same thing over and over and over. And when you do that, when you make those little changes, you can take a school of fish and just work your way through them. So even though it's wintertime, even though it's January, the water's cold, don't let that get into your head. You can still get these fish to fire up and be aggressive. We hope that helps. We appreciate you supporting Tactical Bassin. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll talk to you soon.